this video, I'll talk about the rule that fits PPC perfectly and that no one actually talks about. The same strategy is also applied to other businesses and industries for a long time, and it's called Pareto rule, the 80-20 rule. So if you are a PPC specialist and you want to save time and optimize your actions, this video is just for you. Hello there, welcome to Ads Courses. I'll teach you the best PPC and web analytics strategies and secrets. If you want to support this channel, simply subscribe and share it. Okay, now let's begin. Okay, so I want to share with you this rule that I think will boost your performance and save you a lot of time. And this is a simple principle that actually I didn't came up with. It's a pretty well-known principle in many different business industries, so it's not only a PPC thing. And if you have actually some experience in PPC, I think that you will actually agree with me on this one. But I know that for some people, this rule may be a little bit controversial. Okay, so the rule is a Pareto principle, and you may actually heard of this principle before. It's also called a 20-80% rule. And to put it in a simple way, it's all about that 20% of your actions generate 80% of your effects. And on the other hand, 80% of your actions generate only 20% of the effects. And I also want to mention that it's not about the actual numbers. It's not actually 80% and 20%, but it's more about the correlation between quality of actions and quantity of actions. And it's all about how you perceive your actions and how they boost your performance, how you prioritize your tasks and daily work. Because as you know, in PPC, we experts have a lot of things to do on a daily basis, right? We have a lot of accounts, we have a lot of optimization actions every day, and you need to be aware of that. Not all the actions that you do may actually influence the performance at all, and some of them will actually influence it a little bit, and some of the actions will actually make a huge difference on the performance of your accounts. And this rule is all about that, finding these 20% of actions and focusing on them. Okay, so as I said, this is not a rule, a principle that I came up with. It's a pretty well-known business strategy. So I just wanted to leave this formula here that the Pareto principle states that for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of causes. And this rule was created by Joseph Uran, and it was named by Italian economist Wilfredo Pareto. It doesn't matter, but I just wanted to leave this here. Okay, so Pareto rule in PPC, right? Because this is a business rule, but it's also applicable to PPC, not only to PPC actually. And yes, on many levels. For example, it's applicable on the performance level, and this video is all about that today. But not only that, it's also applicable on a business level. So for example, if you're a PPC agency owner or individual freelancer, most likely 80% of your revenue will come up from 20% of your clients. And again, it may be not applicable to every agency or every PPC specialist, but most likely this is how it will be, right? 80% of your revenue is generated by 20% of your clients. So maybe you would want to focus on these clients more, right? But also on an educational level or self-development level. So I would say that 20% of your skills generate, the most effects on your accounts, so that maybe you should go deeper sometimes in a specific field or skill, and it would be better than just, having a basic knowledge of a lot of different topics. So maybe it would be better to be very good at PPC than being, basic in PPC, but also doing some SEO, some, web development, etc. But this video is mostly about the 20-80 rule to boost your performance. Okay, so when it comes to boosting the performance, in general, you could say that this rule is all about focusing on the quality of your actions, not the quantity of actions, right? Because I know that a lot of guys, and I myself did that, some time ago. I was focusing, and a lot of people are actually focusing on quantity of actions, each month, because maybe it looks good in the report, right, that you send to client. So you do a lot of stuff. You just want to, tick off the tasks from your to-do list every day, right? So that you can see at the end of the month, you can see how huge list of tasks that you did. But I think that this approach is actually pretty wrong. You should focus on the quality of your actions, not the quantity. Believe me, it's way better to actually do less, but better. Less, it doesn't mean that you actually do less, that you will have more time. No, this video is not about me telling you that you should work less. I think that you should actually work more and focus on the 20% of your actions, but doing them better may actually take more time than doing a lot of different other tasks. So focus on quality, not the quantity of actions first. And in a moment, I will share with you what I think are, in most cases, the most important aspects of PPC, of Google Ads campaigns in general. But I think that you should create this list on your own, and it should be account or client or business based, right? Different businesses will have different priorities, different top actions and top performing actions. Okay, so think about your own strategy and actions that drive the most effects. Create a list because you know your account best. Okay, so now I will share you my top aspects of PPC that I think that influence the performance the most, but this list could be, way bigger and totally different. You should create your own list, but this is just like a path, right? A general path that it's applicable to most businesses from my experience. Okay, so the first one is account and campaign structure. And this is something that you don't work on each day, each week, each month for the same client. This is something that you do at the beginning of creating the account, or maybe when you're restructuring your new client, right? But this is very important because later on you will work on these campaigns with this structure that you came up with at the beginning. And if it's wrong, the optimization process will be more difficult, will not boost the performance, and you will lose, opportunities here. So focus on this one, take your time, don't make decisions too fast, just take your time here, think about it, the best structure of your campaign and each point of this structure, on campaign level, ad group level, keywords level, product category level, or services. The second one is proper conversion tracking and analytics implementation. And this is something that you also should think about before you actually create your campaigns. And as you may know, without a proper conversion tracking and web analytics implementation, you won't be able to actually do any optimization, any valuable optimizations, right? That will do and make a difference in your effects. So if you're not tracking conversions at all, the optimization process won't be actually possible. And if your conversion tracking is bad, you won't be able to analyze proper and valuable data. So focus on implementing the conversion tracking properly and removing any web analytics implementation mistakes. Okay, so the third one is website conversion rate optimization, because on one side you have all the optimizations that you can do on the account, and that's great. You can do miracles with optimizations, right? But on the other hand, you've got your website or like mobile app, let's say website, for example. And if the website is not optimized, it's not useful, it's not responsive, it's not loading fast, all the effort that you do in optimizations will be, let's say, wasted, because the website won't convert as it should, and you will lose a lot of opportunities if your website is not optimized on many different levels, actually. So I think that PPC experts should be involved in conversion rate optimization processes and should actually do CRO tests, or even helping to design landing pages, for example. Okay, so another example of like top actions is search term review and adding negatives. And you may actually do this every week or even more often, but you can do this actually better and worse, right? Because, for example, a lot of people actually pull out the search term report data for search terms that didn't convert in last month and add them as negatives in exact match, which actually is a terrible idea to do. Most of the search terms that will actually show up in the report will be like searched only several times a month or so, right? A lot of them will actually be searched only once. So adding a lot of exact match negatives won't actually make much of a difference on your account. There will be some negatives in exact match that you should add. They will increase the performance, but for a longer run, doing that won't make a difference at all. I have a separate video about how to analyze search term report properly and how to add negatives that will actually make a difference. That will boost your effects dramatically, actually. So don't forget to watch this video after this one. Okay, so this is just simple examples of top actions. Your list could be totally different. And the last one is bidding and budget allocation. So I think that I don't have to explain you why bidding is very, very important when it comes to performance. If you're using eCPC or manual CPC bidding strategy, bidding is like one of the most important aspects of PPC. But even if you're using automatic bidding strategies, then you should still focus on the best strategy and best settings and which strategy to use in which situations. And of course, budget allocation is also important. If you have a lot of products, different services, and limited budget, you should allocate your budget in a proper way. Determine these 20% of top performing actions and focusing on them later, right? So that you will be sure that you do them the best way that you could, or maybe that you should educate yourself on this topic to do them even better. But this is what it's all about. Okay, so the third one is analyze possible risks, because there, like always, there are some risks here. And for example, the risk would be that you picked your top actions incorrectly. These are not your top performing tasks, and maybe you will decide to do only them and forget about all the other tasks that you did previously. And that could be also a bad decision, because like the next point is about don't forget about less important 80% of actions. And this video, like I said, it's not about you working less now, like you will only do like 20% of what you do now. It's about actually working even more. It's about focusing on these 20% of actions, but also don't forget about the other ones, because they will still give you this 20% of performance, which is actually a lot. So don't forget about them. Do new stuff, test new features, test new approach each month. Actually, I think that you should do tests repetitively all the time, because maybe you're actually not doing some of the top performing actions that you should actually do, and by testing new features and new actions you will be able to tell. Okay, so the last one is, when evaluating the progress, analyze top 20 of actions separately, because you want to make sure that you do them the best way you could and they actually boost your performance. Maybe you're doing something wrong, maybe the performance decreases. So by analyzing them separately, you'll be able to tell if you're doing them right or wrong. Or maybe you should add something to this list, right? And remove something. So this is more like a dynamic list. Okay, so now you know how to focus on what's really important when it comes to performance optimizations in PPC. It's all about the quality, not the number of actions took. Pareto rules describes this pretty good, and it's fairly easy to implement in PPC, so just give it a try. If you want to support this channel, simply hit the subscribe button. That's all for today. See you in my other videos. Bye!